Larry Leray, thank you for being on here today. I understand that you have quite the background with real estate, and it'd be great to hear more on that. What's your background?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for having me on your show. This is quite an honor. And I've been in and out of real estate most of my life, mostly as an investor who had properties, rented them, and I did that in 2 or 3 countries. And so I have the sort of viewpoint of a renter, I have the viewpoint of an owner, a landlord. I have all kinds of viewpoints on on real estate.
That's great.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome. And what do you see happening in the real estate market in relationship to rentals?
Well, it's an interesting question. Ever since the beginning of COVID, we've had raging inflation, um, which is what happens when you you tell a whole bunch of people not to work and you give them money. So you just pump money into the economy and prices go up. So we've seen real estate prices going up. We have seen rental prices going up. But something very interesting is happening more recently is that rental prices, and I have my thumb right on the pulse right now, rental prices in Pinellas County have been drifting down. Not that much, but they're not like going up and up and up and up.
Claire Lorray, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Everybody, I really appreciate her and her time and her energy for communicating about these different things. I feel that it's important for anyone who is looking to become someone who wants to rent out their house or wants to rent to others. And other than that, guys, I just want to wish you a great day for a wonderful time. Cheers.
They are sort of slowly, very slowly, slightly drifting down at this moment. And real estate prices seem to be doing the same thing. You know, if you're buying real estate, you know, you don't have that situation that you had before where millions of people are all bidding on the same house and it's just a nightmare. And it was the same thing for rentals. You know, someone would have a place up for rent and there'd be like 100 applications. I'm exaggerating, but not that much. So now things are coming back down to normal, but the prices are quite high, but they are drifting down a little bit. That's what I see at this moment. And it depends what happens next in the economy, what will happen next. But right now, prices are high, but drifting slightly down in the rental market, to answer your question.
Got you. And why do you think they're going back down?
Well, we had in Florida, we had a rush of people moving in as they were coming in from other countries and other states where the laws were just so crazy, for lack of a better word, and people couldn't work. Remember, you know, Elon Musk trying to get his factory going and in California, and he was like being threatened practically with imprisonment if he started the assembly line, and Trump was saying, for heaven's sake, let him get back to work. And you know, you had this atmosphere. It was going on in England, France. They were absolutely closed down. You had New York State was mad. Quite a few states were mad. Quite a few countries were mad. So you had a huge, in addition to all the prices going up and inflation, you had a rush of people into the real estate market, both to buy and to rent. And people are going home now. You know, things have settled down. COVID is kind of a past memory, a bad memory, but a past memory. And so, you know, a lot of people have stayed, but, you know, people tend to be, I think more people tend to be going home than are flooding in. So it's really a question of supply and demand. If you look on the rental sites, you'll see there's a lot to rent. There's a lot of homes to rent. So yes.
Great. Thanks for letting me know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
And
also everyone and their brother jumped into the real estate market in order to rent. You also had a lot of people jumped into the short-term rental, the Airbnb market, and then they found it wasn't quite as sexy as they thought because so many other people were jumping into that market. So all of that's going on to the rental market. So, and you're seeing a lot of furnished rentals long term because short-term rental people are getting fed up of short-term and they want long-term. So all of that's pushing prices down slightly, but there's still a lot of demand and a lot of inventory. There's a lot of activity in the rental market.
Okay. Thanks for letting me know. And then what services do you provide for both landlords and tenants?
Well, I've really made a study of how to get a house rented, and if I take on a landlord as a client, I will literally within 24 hours of having all their information, photos, and everything together, I'll have them on over 50 sites, including over 20 local Facebook groups. That's to Pinellas County. So I will get their home rented as fast as possible because it's just in front of a lot of eyeballs. So that's what I do for landlords, is I get their places rented for real. And I also advise about pricing. A lot of people are used to the prices going up and up and up, and they go, "Ooh, let's try for this." I go, "No, you're dreaming, or maybe you're dreaming, but let's try it for a couple of days. And if no one applies, we need to drop the prices really quickly until we start to get some inquiries." And if someone is agreeable to that, I'll take them on and I'll promote them all over the place. Then, of course, I'll vet the tenants, I'll show the property. I do everything, help screen the tenants, credit checks, advise, give all the data to the landlord, advise them like, this person has bad credit, but they have a great job and they've never, they've never been evicted, blah, blah, blah. And their wife has very good credit. I think it's a good bet, that sort of thing. And then for tenants, I get tons of people because I have so many properties that I rent. So tenants come and ask me if they, if I don't have a home for them, then I will get all the things that they need and want, their budget and everything. And I have a huge database of tenants so that as soon as a home comes on the market that would suit their needs, I go straight to them before I even put it on the market. So I don't promise a tenant a home, but I pretty much do promise a landlord a home. I don't promise, but so far I've filled every home that I've been given. But with tenants, I try my best. If they don't fit in the homes I have, I keep their data and and then I put them into something else that's suitable. I do a lot of that.
That's great. And how did you get into this kind of position anyway?
Well, it's funny because I used to I used to have homes in Clearwater and I used to rent them. So I have a lot of experience as a landlord. And then when I moved back to Europe. As you can hear, I'm not from Kansas, and I moved back to Europe, and I was able to manage all my rentals from afar, from France and England. So I've just got a lot of experience, and a few people here and there, a few friends. Oh God, could you help me rent? I can't rent this place. Can you help? And then it just became a lot of fun. So now I'm like, okay, this is what I actually do. Surprised most of my friends who had no idea, but that's actually officially what I do.
Nice. Well done.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. And this might be a redundant question, but why should a landlord choose you to help them rather than with someone else?
Okay, well, it's just like selling a property. You've got you've got well, a landlord generally doesn't know the market. They don't know the 50 plus websites that I know and can get a home onto in less than an hour. I've got a way of doing it and I get it onto over 50 sites in less than an hour. So landlord just doesn't know their way around websites, social media, that sort of thing. And a lot of people have other things to do. They have jobs and they want to, they want to do what they do and let someone else do what I do. I get it rented fast, and if you've got a home for $3,000 a month, every day you're not renting it is $100. So although I am expensive, I get the job done, I get it well done, and I get it done fast. And I take everything off your hands, including all the leases, the legal work, everything, the showing, everything. So that's really good for a landlord who's busy, that they get a professional just to take it off their hands and do it. So it's not like a part-time gig that they're doing badly. I just jump on it and do it.
Understood. Understood.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then how should landlords be screening their tenants?
That's a good question. Well, you want to do a background check and you want to do a credit check, and you'd be shocked at what is in someone's credit that they're not telling you about. Really, it's really surprising when you see you see the paper and you listen to the person. Often most people, it's exactly what they say. Most people are very upfront, like, I'll be upfront, I have terrible credit. I went through a divorce 5 years ago. It was a nightmare. I went behind on all my payments, but I've been doing well ever since. And you look, and the credit is exactly that. But a few people will just say, "Oh, I'm a little challenged," and you find they're currently 90 days behind on credit cards. And you're like, why would anyone want to rent to this person that's currently not making payments? I can see having something really awful happening, like some people lost jobs over COVID. It was a nightmare. But and then you see how they're recovering, and very important how what they're saying compares to what you're seeing on the credit report. And background checks, oh my God. I had a lady and her boyfriend, and this lady was like, "Oh, we want to live together. It's so nice." And so I ran a background check and a credit check. Turned out the guy was a sex offender. It's like not someone you want in your neighborhood, and it was actually very sad. The lady was like, "Oh, it was all misunderstanding, and someone else, it was really something else." And it was just like, oh my God, what is this guy telling her? But it's, you figure out really rapidly what problems not to take on. Sometimes your heart goes out to someone and they're a good person and they've had a bad time. And then but with the background check, you can see, like, what's the history? Is it one awful year, or do they just miss payments all the time? That kind of thing. Like so background checks are great. Talking to the person is fantastic. Really getting a sense of who they are, what their beliefs are. If you see them, are they well dressed? If they're well dressed, they'll probably treat your home well. Their shoes all scuffed up, well, then the floors are going to be scuffed up. There's little things that you can pick up. So I would definitely screen, definitely a credit and background check, unless you know the person very well. And really talk to them and see if their stories add up. Sort of, yeah, last month I was in Europe, and the next thing they're saying, yeah, I haven't left the country since COVID. You're like, oh, this is interesting. That kind of thing. So it's really good to screen your tenants like that. It's very necessary.
Yeah,
And the more that, I had someone the other day saying, "Oh, can we just pay to have this credit check go away and this background check go away?" This was for one of my clients who's in California, who could not afford to have a crazy tenant. I said, we're very reasonable about background and credit. We're not just like a rote machine, but it's not negotiable. You to get in here, you need a background check and a credit check. And I never heard from them again. They said about 4 times, "What do we have to do to make this, to not have to do these checks?" I said, "It's not negotiable." So the more someone doesn't want it, the more you should definitely do it. Just to
nice.
let you know.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I like the kind of posture that you have with it. It's very clear and distinct on what you need, and it's not like, oh, we'll just let you in because you said something nice.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's very important to look at the whole picture and to be kind, you know, like a mother and 2 children went through a divorce, but now she's making 100,000 a year and she hasn't missed a payment in a year. Okay, I would give that person a chance. I would advise my client, give her a chance, you know? So yeah, definitely screen and then look at the whole picture. Step back and look at the whole picture. Also go with your gut. Often you just know these things. You don't know how you know, but there's nothing worse than I'm sure you've experienced this in I had. There's nothing worse than a year later going, not just, relationships, anything, not just renting a house to someone. You go, "Oh, I had a feeling something was off here. I should have listened to myself."
Mm.
So that's really important too.
Yeah, I can get that.
Yeah.
Cool. And
Yeah.
then what advice would you give tenants that have poor credit?
Be completely upfront when applying. Um, yeah, very upfront. Be completely prepared to be transparent because they are going to say, well, what happened? If I'm going to consider this, I need to know what happened. Be prepared to have someone pry a little bit. But be upfront and in the months or year leading up to rental, just be completely 100% up to date on your payments, because when you do a credit check, you can actually look and see what months they missed, what months they're like 30 days behind, 60 days behind, 90 days behind. Did they get close to a bankruptcy? You could see all of that. So you might as well just be honest. Also, I probably shouldn't say this because I tend to rent to someone who obviously likes the house. They walk in and they kind of go, wow, I like this. I like the atmosphere. Yeah, this would be my bedroom. This would be his bedroom. This would be this, and they're kind of imagining themselves living there rather than they just kind of come in and they're kicking in the tires like a commodity. Like, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I've seen three. I've seen 100 houses like this today. Yeah, it's fine. That kind of person would put me off because you want someone who feels at home in your home. So don't fake it. But if you're having an emotion about the home, share it. Don't try and be so cool. Also, personally, I get put off by negotiation. Someone could just say, "Oh God, I love it, but it's over my budget. I really love it, but I can't, it is over my budget." Or, well, can we have like $500 off per month? It's a different flow. One flow is, this house is gorgeous, but I can't quite afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is like, you know, I'm going to offer you $500 a month less than you want. Take it or leave it. Arrogant. You don't want to be arrogant. You don't want to be arrogant when you're a renter. You don't want to be arrogant when you're a landlord. With a landlord, it's like, or an agent, like, what do you need? How can I help you? But sometimes you do have to hold your ground and say, I'm sorry, on the background check and the credit check, that's not negotiable. I'm really sorry. But not like, F you. You have to do this, take it or leave it. It's just like, I'm so sorry. That is a point that's not negotiable. So yeah, so if you're a tenant, I would let your emotions flow. If you really like a place, don't fake it. But if you like a place, say, I like it. I could see myself being here. Um, and be sincere. Don't tell lies, because people can see through lies generally. Because there's something that won't add up.
Mm.
And once you're caught in a lie, you're never trusted. So just be honest, forthright. And yeah, obviously if you've got fabulous credit, you can say that. Say, my credit's great. It's like over 700 and I'm fine on checking it. That kind of thing. Don't brag, but just like, yeah, my credit's good. That won't be a problem, and I have nothing in my background that would
Right.
exclude me. Yeah, just honest, nice,
Oh,
real.
valid. Valid.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then do you have any advice for landlords who are renting their properties?
Yeah, if you're renting out your own property, get as much exposure as you can. If you can, put a for rent sign outside your door. In condos and certain communities, you can't do that, but if you can, do. And make sure that your ad is very easy to understand, good pictures and lots of them. And then listen to what people are asking, like, is this for, if they say, this is furnished, but I really want unfurnished. Is it possible to have it unfurnished? then write, you know, if you're having this conversation a lot, then first or second sentence of the ad, you know, furnished property, you know, and then put in parentheses, doesn't come unfurnished, or something like that, so that you're answering people's questions up front. And you can rewrite your ads like, oh, you know, or people keep coming in and they go, God, I love your huge backyard. Gorgeous, huge backyard. You know, just listen to people and give them what they want, without lying. You know, if you have a gorgeous backyard and people are mentioning it, mention it. And let's see what else. Definitely the background check and credit check. And the more people protest it, the more people are arrogant and say, oh, I don't need that. You know, that's a deal breaker. You know, they can also be very arrogant or whatever. The more they push back, the more you insist on it. Don't be afraid to let a renter go. Don't chase them. Follow up. Okay, did you look at all the other houses? You know, are you ready to make a decision? Blah, blah, blah. Definitely follow up until they say, I've got something, or I've decided to stay where I am. Just follow up nicely, or I'm sorry, you know, I really realize I don't want to be in your area, so you, or whatever. Until they've eliminated you, don't eliminate them. And just be really friendly and really helpful. You know, tell them other places they can find a place that they do want. Let's say they want something you just don't have. Say, well, you know, my friend here has some rentals, or, you know, have you tried Facebook Marketplace? You know, just type in your criteria and you'll probably find something, you know, that sort of thing. Just be nice, be helpful, be real. Obviously you want your home clean, tidy when you show it. Oh, one thing I've learned is that it's almost impossible to rent a home when another tenant's in it, particularly when they're moving out and they've got boxes everywhere. It's sort of worth waiting and then promoting the day it's clean and ready to show. I find you rent it a lot faster. And then one more last piece of advice is, let's say you're just sure that you like, I'll give you an example. I had a home that someone bought during COVID. They spent a lot of money on it. It was all furnished. They had it as a Airbnb. It was fabulous. And they were like, you know, during COVID, I was getting 4,500 a month for it. So that's what I want now, long term. I said, I think it's high, but I'm not going to second guess you. Let's try it. So we tried it. And I said, you know, if it's not working within 2 or 3 days, we're dropping the price to 3,000 or 3,500. You know, we're dropping it quickly. So 2 days later, it's like, I haven't even had a phone call and I got it on 50 sites. This is not good. Let's drop it to 4,000. We did. A couple of days later, nothing. So, okay, 3,300. That's as low as I'm going to go. Almost nothing. We dropped it to 3,000 and the phone has been ringing ever since. And we've got like 3 people applying right now.
That's awesome.
So yeah, the market knows what the correct price is. It's very rare that you'll get an idiot come in that doesn't know the market, you know, and will get the first thing they buy. I'll give you another example. I had another home and it was on the market and this guy came to see it and it was the first home he'd seen. And he's like, this is the first home I've seen. I don't want to be an idiot. So I'm going to look around. I'll let you know. So I thought, oh boy, here we go. Goodbye. I won't see him again. But I texted him from time to time. Have you seen the other properties? Blah, blah. And then suddenly, like 2 weeks later, okay, what do I have to do to get the house? It was just like, boom, he was ready. And then he said, I looked at everything else and this was actually reasonable. I was he came in from another state. He was like, oh my God, you know, people want your arm, your leg, they want a fortune. This is actually a reasonable price, although it's way more than I wanted to spend. So yes. So yeah. And then I remember I had another tenant, another person. This was before I was doing this professionally. And she's like, would you do it? I hear you're really good. And I'm like, okay, fine. And I said, what do you want? And she said 2,600 and for a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. It's a beautiful, freshly renovated, but nothing remarkable. Just a very ordinary 3-bedroom, 2-bath home. And I said, oof, 2,600 seems awfully high to me, but I'm not going to second guess you. I don't know this market. It just seems really high. Let's try it. And my God, within a day we had like 7 showing. I had like 20 phone calls and probably 100 messages, 10 showings and 3 offers. And I was like, wow, I thought you were totally asking over the market, but you weren't. And we took the best person. So yeah, I think, but if you let something sit on the market for weeks and months, people kind of get bored of it and they assume that there's something wrong with it and they don't inquire. So you want to drop your prices really fast if you're testing a market. So that's my advice to a
Awesome.
landlord. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time and your advocation on this topic. It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for what you do.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Great.
Okay. Great.
Well, fantastic. Have a good rest of your day then.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Cheers.
Cheers.